What's going on, YouTube? Bad Influence back out here. So today I'm going to continue on with the Camaro videos. I decided to get out here, start taking everything apart, so I'm gonna bring y'all along with me and just show y'all a little bit of what I'm doing out here. I'm trying out the new tripod that I got and see how well it works out while I'm recording everything. So stick around, we're gonna dive off into the Camaro and see what we can get done with the teardown of it. That way we can get going with putting everything back together, and then we will get it back on the road. So here we go. So I got started a little bit already with getting the fuel line taken off the carburetor. Right now I'm working on getting the alternator off so I can get that out of the way. And then we'll start diving into getting the distributor taken off, and then the intake manifold, so we can start getting the heads taken off. So just stick around with me. It's not going to be as much of a step-by-step. I'm just going to get into it, start working on it, and go from there. All right, y'all, so I got the alternator out of the way. Now I'm gonna get in here and get the distributor off, and then we can start working on getting the intake manifold off. Still gotta drain the radiator, just remembered that. Got a couple things we're gonna have to do for preparation of getting the heads taken off. It's gonna be a fun little project. Very curious of how it's going to turn out, because this engine has never been apart in 37 years. So with that, we could run into some issues, but that's kind of expected at this point. All right, y'all, so got the distributor out of the way, got the upper radiator hose undone, disconnected the throttle cable. Now I'm gonna start getting the intake bolts loosened up so we can get this intake off of here. All right, y'all, so I got the intake manifold loosened up, got the valve covers off, distributors out and stuff like that. I'm gonna take a pause for a little bit. I gotta go and pick up the kiddo from school, and then once I get back, I'll get the intake manifold cracked off of there, get it out of the way, then we can start taking everything else apart so I can get the heads off of here. So just giving y'all just a quick look inside here. Like I said, valve covers are off. Got all the bolts out of the intake manifold. Got top radiator hose off, out of the way. Fuel line for the carburetor is disconnected. I just have it sitting up there and plugged up. But we're making some progression here. We'll get back to it once I get back and get settled and everything with the kids. So stand by for a little bit. All right, y'all. So it's been a couple days. I didn't get back on this whenever I first started the video. I ended up doing some stuff yesterday with the kids and everything. So we're getting back on the video, getting back on the Camaro, and going to continue on. I'm gonna start with getting the intake manifold taken off, and then we'll start getting the headers off and go from there with trying to get the heads taken off of here. So stick around. We're going to continue on with the video and get more of this taken apart. All right, y'all. So like I said, we're going to get started on getting this intake manifold taken off and keep moving from there. Forgot a little bit that before I can start even trying to get the heads off, I got to work on getting the water pump and some of the stuff on the front of the engine taken apart. So got a little bit more to do than I was originally talking about, but we'll get there. All right, y'all, so got the water pump off, intake manifold is off, got the driver's side header unbolted and the spark plugs taken out, but I'm gonna have to get the car up in the air to get that header out of that side. I'm gonna start working on getting the header and spark plugs off of the passenger side of the engine. And then in the time lapse, probably couldn't see it too well, but this stud right here I'm having issues with to get the power steering pump off of here. The stud itself is wanting to come out of the head before I could get the nut off of there to get for the bracket to get the power steering pump out of the way. So I'm gonna have to fight with that for a little bit so I can get in there and get that taken apart. But once I get the header off of this side and the spark plugs taken out, I'll start worrying about that, and then I'll get all these rocker arms taken out and the lifter rods pulled out. So hope y'all are enjoying the video so far. I'm trying to do time lapses for the stuff I know is taking a little bit longer, and it's not exactly as entertaining. None of this is really like super entertaining because you're just watching me take the motor apart, but hopefully you're enjoying it so far. I love doing this type of stuff, especially for this car. Like I talked about a little bit in the introduction video for the Camaro. This was my grandpa's car, so sitting out here working on it, I used to help him whenever I was growing up a little bit with the car, so it kind of takes me back to when he was still around and he could actually still drive this. He had some issues as he got older that prevented him from being able to drive it, so the car actually started sitting for quite a while before he passed away. Some of my family, my mom and them, would go out and start it up as much as they could, but it never got driven really at all until a few years ago when my mom and stepdad finally got the car out here to Florida for me. and I've been driving it for a while here and there, and then it started having the issues that it had, so I had to start parking it, getting it started taken apart, fixing what I can, and hopefully after the repairs I'm doing right now, it'll be back on the road and we can start making some content with it. But I'm gonna get back to it and put y'all back on the time lapse as I start working on this again, and we'll keep it going. All right, so got the header unbolted over here and the spark plugs taken out, but just like the driver's side, I'm gonna have to get the car lifted up, and probably gonna have to take the starter off, which I really didn't want to have to do, so I can get the header out of this side. Unfortunately, that's kind of how I had to do it when I put them in, but that's also why I'm not putting these ones back in. I got those hooker shorties that I'm gonna end up putting in here, and I got the exhaust extension tubes that bolt up to those, so I can get the exhaust going down a little bit further, and then I'll get it taken over to the exhaust shop and have the exhaust finished up over there. But from here, I'm gonna go grab a cardboard box, so whenever I start taking out these push rods, I can label them for what cylinder they came out of. And I'm also going to do the same with the spark plugs. The spark plugs were pretty fresh before I parked it, so I'm going to use them again, because with running the headers, I have to use those Acorn Excel header spark plugs, and they're a little bit more expensive, so I'm not going to just toss them out unless whenever I get it all back together, it doesn't run right, or it sounds like it's missing on one of the cylinders. But I'll chase that down when the time comes, if it happens. Again, I gotta fight that bolt, the nut and stud right there for the power steering pump. Finish getting that bracket off out of here, and then from there, I forgot to get the motor rotated over to top dead center before I started taking everything apart, so I'm gonna have to hand crank the engine over a little bit. It's not too far off. You can see there's the timing line right there, so it's not too far off of top dead center. But I'll get back going again here in a little bit after I get this box and a marker, so I can start labeling and putting these push rods in place whenever I pull them out of here. All right, y'all, so went inside, got a box, that way I can label the rods, the push rods and spark plugs for what cylinders they came off of. Started fighting with that bracket for the power steering pump a little bit, and it's still not wanting to come off, so I put some brake free on there. That way maybe I can get those threads separated a little bit. I'll try again here in a little bit on that. For now, I'm going to start working on getting the rocker arms taken off and start pulling out the push rods. That way I can get everything out of the way and start trying to get these heads loosened up off the block. Haven't tried turning any of them yet since I went ahead and sprayed that bolt over there with the penetrating oil. I went ahead and did the outside head studs on the bottom, just in case they might be seized a little bit. But fingers crossed that we can get those out without any of them being an issue. So we'll put y'all back up on the stand and start getting to work on it. All right, y'all. So I tried getting that nut loose again, and unfortunately all the sockets keep slipping on it, so it's starting to strip. So I'm probably gonna end up having to cut that stud off, unfortunately, and then I'll just have to get another one to put back in there. I think I'm gonna call it a stopping point for the day. That way I have time so I can go get a jack and some jack stands and stuff that I'm gonna need to get the car up in the air a little bit to get the headers out of here. And also I'm gonna need to get a breaker bar so I can get the head studs broke loose, so I can start getting the heads taken off of here. But that's where I'm at right now. You can see I got a good amount of everything stripped down. I'm at a good stopping point for the day. It's supposed to rain here after a little while, so I'm gonna go ahead, get everything cleaned up, put my tools away and everything, and call it a day on the Camaro. So far I'm making decent progress. This is my first time tearing a motor down as far as I'm doing it for this. I'm not new to mechanical stuff, so you know, it's a small block Chevy. They're pretty simple to work on, but I'm getting it tore down. Got the new parts in the house, that way I can get those put on once everything's set and ready. But I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of what I got going on over here. Like I said, I got a box and I labeled them for all the cylinders in order. Put the spark plug and push rods with its corresponding cylinder. Got intake manifold set over here with the carburetor still on it. Don't mind my my workspace. Everybody's got to be a shade tree mechanic in their life at least once. But this is what we're doing for now. Like I said, I'm gonna call it quits for the day on this, and get everything wrapped up before it rains, and I'll catch back up with y'all in the next video whenever I pick back up where I left off here. Again, I hope y'all are enjoying this process so far. Something a little bit different than the Jeep content. I really love doing all the off-roading and Jeep stuff, but where I live, there's only a few trails that I can actually hit every once in a while, and I'm sure y'all get bored with seeing the same trails over and over and over. The only ones that doesn't really get boring with is Moab and all that stuff, but I live in Florida, so we don't have that here. We have Hard Rock Off-Road Park and Old Florida Off-Road, but those are further away than I care to drive most weekends, unless I'm going to make a full weekend out of it. So hopefully the Camaro content will be a good experience for y'all, and I know I'm going to enjoy it because of what I talked about earlier with it being my grandpa's car. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at it and get it back on the road so we can start taking it back out and go for drives and everything in it, and show y'all a little bit more about the car and how it is whenever we get there. So thanks for sticking with me. Until next time, Bad Influence out.